Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, can humans become angels? Can they even become archangels? Well, perhaps. And then we have to actually ask the question, what really is an angel? What really is an archangel? And, what really are we when you get down to it? So we see these two figures, which you are probably all very, very familiar with, Enoch and Elijah. Fascinating figures for sure. And, two of the most interesting cases in the Bible of, curious circumstances and statements that lead you wondering what exactly happened here. So God takes up Enoch, and this is out of Genesis 5. We're going to start over here with 18. When Jared was 162 years old, he became the father of Enoch. And after he had become the father of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. So Jared lived a total of 962 years, and then he died. When Enoch was 65 years old, he became the father of Methuselah. And after he had become the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. So Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Well, there's 365 days in a year, aren't there? Enoch walked with God, and then he was no more because God had taken him away, or taken him up. There's layers upon layers to the symbology in the Bible, as well as other texts as well. And so we could look at things absolutely literally. And there are people that will only be able to comprehend things in a direct, literal way without looking into and trying to piece together puzzle pieces, or looking for symbology, looking for perhaps indications that this is, giving us some clues to maybe mysteries that actually exist. And remember, Christ himself had said that basically he teaches in parables to the masses because that's what they can understand. And then he taught the secrets to his inner circle and taught them directly. So the masses often just don't understand the mysteries that surround us. And in this age, which is an age of information, we're able to really dissect things, and we're able to work together and use each other's inspiration and insight, as well as going within ourselves for our own interpretations and finding what really went on here. I mean, we could look at things literally, but is that really what we're talking about? When we're getting all these different numbers, are they really giving us indications and clues of something different? Is it a coincidence, for instance, that Enoch lived a total of 365 days, years, which is the same number of days in a year? Is that just a coincidence? And how about he walked with God? What does it mean he walked with God? So what does that really mean? Was God here on earth in a physical body, and he was just walking around with him for 300 years? Or was he living a life that was God-like in every single way for 300 years, was basically almost Christ-like in the way he lived? He was almost without blemish, without sin, perhaps. Is the 300 years, again, is that something that's literal, or is it symbolic? If we look at numerology, 300 is 3, and that's divinity. So is there anything to that? And then it also could represent the Trinity, which could represent us in so many ways. There's so many ways of looking at this. And Enoch walked with God, and then he was no more, because God had taken him away. So he was no more. So was he obliterated? Was he gone? God had taken him away in what way? Was he beamed up, like beam me up, Scotty? Exactly what was this? What does this mean? And, what really happened? And was he no more because he became something different? So Elijah taken up to heaven, and this is 2 Kings 2. When the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elijah and Elisha were on their way from Gilgal. And it's interesting because many believe that, well, Elijah and Elisha were actually John the Baptist and Christ, Jesus, with Elisha here being Jesus and Elijah being John the Baptist, and Elijah, being superior to Elisha, but then the reverse happens in the next incarnation. And there are I'm not saying that's, what happened or, anything like that. It's just that is what some believe. So Elijah said to Elisha, "Stay here, the Lord has sent me to Bethel." But Elisha said, "As surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you." So they went down to Bethel. The company of prophets at Bethel came out to Elisha and asked, "Do you know that the Lord is going to take your master from you today?" "Yes, I know," Elisha replied, "so be quiet." Okay, so it was already known that he was going to be taking away. How was this announced? How did everybody know? Then Elijah said to him, "Stay here, Elisha. The Lord has sent me to Jericho." And he replied, "As surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you." So they went to Jericho. The company of the prophets at Jericho went up to Elisha and asked him, "Do you know that the Lord is going to take your master from you today?" "Yes, I know," he replied, "so be quiet." Then Elijah said to him, "Stay here, the Lord has sent me to the Jordan." And he replied, "As surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you." So the two of them walked on, and they covered a lot of ground in that day, didn't they? 50 men from the company of prophets went and stood at a distance facing the place where Elijah and Elisha had stopped at the Jordan. Elijah took his cloak, rolled it up, and struck the water with it. The water divided to the right and to the left, and the two of them crossed over on dry ground. And when they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, "Tell me, what can I do for you before I am taken from you?" "Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit," Elisha replied. "You have asked a difficult thing," Elijah said. "Yet if you see me when I am taken from you, it will be yours. Otherwise, it will not." So on verse 11, as they were walking along and talking together, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them. And Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. And Elisha saw this and cried out, my father, the chariots and the horsemen of Israel." And Elisha saw him no more. And he took hold of his garment and tore it in two. So what actually happened there? What are we really talking about? Was this a literal chariot of fire? As, so many growing up as kids, when we first read this story or have this story told to us, this is kind of what we envision. We take things literally. Is this what really happened? Is this what it looked like? Did it look like something different? Or is that even off the mark? Is it something totally different yet? Is the fire symbolic of something? We know the seraphim are envisioned as basically fiery serpents, interestingly enough. And also we recognize like the staff of Hermes Mercury Thoth, or the AMA, to represent Kundalini, which is thought to be fiery energy that resides in the sacrum, and when it's activated, it rises on up through the body. And so we have cases of Tibetan monks that receive the rainbow body, and all of a sudden, they're gone. They're just gone. Is that what we're talking about here, perhaps? What did they see in the sky here? There's a lot of people that will take each different side. They'll take the literalist side, they'll take the ancient alien side, and then perhaps there's others that think that it's all symbolic more. So when you're taken up to God, is this what it looks like? Is it just simply your body is floating up in the air, as so many expect to see Christ coming back in white robes and just coming floating down to the ground? Is that really what we are to look for? We have a lot of abduction phenomenon where people just go missing. I myself witnessed a giant triangle once, which I do think it was basically it was army, or it was our military but it did have a light like this that was shooting down on people's houses. So that was seriously curious. And then I have had abduction type experiences myself as a kid, and so has Cindy, as well as others in our family and friends. Is that what it is? There's been so many cases, Travis Walton, exactly like this. Boom, the light shines down and boom, you're taken up. Is that what we're talking about? Here we see basically the symbol of Sandalphon. Sandalphon is believed to have been a Sarim or angelic prince. He was originally Elijah, the prophet of Israel. It is said he was carried to heaven in a burning chariot by a whirlwind while still alive. It was at this point that he became Sandalphon. As Sandalphon, he holds a position in the angelic hierarchy behind Marksaba, the heavenly chariot. So, okay, now they're letting out a little secret there with the Marksaba. And here again is the sigil. And the sigil is something that we can use to actually connect to these energies of these beings. As we see, Archangel Sandalphon and Archangel Metatron are thought to be like twins in so many ways. And they're thought to be perhaps two of the most powerful, if not the two most powerful archangels. If we're talking about studying the Kabbalah and going deep into the Hebrew mysticism. So Sandalphon is only one of two archangels who, curiously enough, the name doesn't end with an L. Every other one, it ends in an L. And L, as we know, basically means God. El was the chief deity of the Canaanites, the area where Israel was to exist later on. So El means God in Hebrew. Sandalphon's name means brother in Greek, a reference to his twin brother, Archangel Metatron. The twins are the only archangels in heaven who were originally mortal men. Sandalphon was the prophet Elijah, Metatron was the wise man Enoch. And so God gave both men their immortal assignments as archangels to reward them for their good work upon earth, following them to continue their sacred service from heaven. Elijah's ascension, see, there we have that ascension word, occurred when he was lifted up to heaven in a fiery chariot, bowled by two horses of fire. Interesting, because we could look at that too. Okay, what two horses? Well, maybe it's the Ida and the Pingala. The two, the masculine and the feminine channels of energy that intertwine, just like DNA, and surround the Sushumna, which is that center channel where when the Kundalini is activated, it shoots up into the pineal. So is that what we're talking about? Or was there literally two horses made of fire that, he jumped on the back of the chariot and they went up into the sky, accompanied by a whirlwind? Or was it that the Greys or somebody else came down and basically opened up the shuttle door and said, come on in, guys, we're taking off. Happy hour awaits. Yeah, what are we actually looking at here? We could look at things in many different ways. And we could be very dogmatic that our way is the only way. But what are we really talking about here? So, according to the traditions and the legends, Sandalphon's chief role is to carry human prayers to God so they may be answered. He's said to be so tall that he extends from earth to heaven. Ancient Kabbalistic lore says that Sandalphon can help expectant parents determine the gender of their forthcoming child, and many also believe that he's involved with music as well. Archangel Sandalphon's messages and musings come as soft whispers on the wings of angels. They're so gentle that they can breeze by if you're not paying attention. So when you invoke Sandalphon, stay aware of any words or music you hear in your mind, as they're most likely answers to your prayers. And when you're invoking any type of forces, be aware of the energy, the feel, the vibration. Look for unusual sensations, different colors. Perhaps you'll see something. Perhaps you'll actually even smell something or hear something. So Sandalphon helps with music, prayers, delivering and answering unborn babies, determining the gender of. And I'll give you all the links here so you can go into bigger detail as well. And so we talked about what his name means. And both of these, interestingly enough, are supposed to be so tall. So huge. And so during the legendary visit of Moses in the third heaven, it is said that he has seen Sandalphon. Led to the third heaven by the angel Hadrianel, Moses remained dumb with surprise in front of the divine fire which was in Sandalphon's presence. Unlike Moses' angelic guide, particularly impressive with a height of 3 million kilometers, Sandalphon was taller with the distance of a 500-day trip on foot. And he's placed in the 7th heavenly palace, close to the Creator. And it said his duties is that of plaiting wreaths for God out of the worship and prayers of human, which are brought by other angels. So we see there's a lot of different traditions, and of course in Metatron. So Metatron, his name meaning is the one who guards or the one who serves behind God's throne. But none of these names is certainly the meaning of his name. You should say a prayer to Archangel Metatron because he's considered to be the angel of life. He is the guardian angel of the tree of life, and he also guards the Akashic records or the book of life. Metatron is the witness of the good we do and the love we give. He even writes those actions down in the book of life. You can also find him under other names as well. So it's fascinating to see this and the legends, and over here, it says Archangel Metatron is also known as the Angel of Ascension. Some claim that he is the highest of all the archangels. So what is really the truth? Now that's something that perhaps we all have to kind of divine for ourselves. Curious that we see Metatrons Cube, a mystical three-dimensional cube used by the Archangel Metatron to watch over the flow of energy connecting earth and the divine, spins with energy to help you replace negative thoughts with positive ones, reminds us that the universe wants us to discover our personal power and use it to do good. And when we see that, obviously, you could see that there's a six-pointed star in there as well. And of course, the six-pointed star really represents the Marksaba. And, activating the Marksaba or the light body is really what we're working on right now. As we're going from this third density life into a fourth density life, which some believe basically the transition occurred in 2012. And so when we think about that December 21st, 2012 date, many people are expecting the end of the world, but it wasn't about the end of the world. It was about the end of an age and the beginning of a new age and a new way of living, and the fact that we are activating our light bodies because of the changes that are all around us, the cosmic rays, the energy coming in. This is doing it, and it's changed our lives. Many of us are totally changed. Cindy and I were talking about this last night, and to me, there is just no doubt because I feel way more energetic in that I can sense my energy body. And yeah, this is a daily practice. We practice QiGong, we practice meditation, we practice all sorts of mantras, and we're purposely activating and strengthening our light bodies every day. This is just what we do, and we recognize the importance of this. So it's logical that we're going to sense it stronger and stronger, but something has happened. This whole reality has changed. It's a completely different reality from what it was before. It feels different. You guys, you recognize that it's different. You could sense it. Sense the energies. It's so much easier to achieve anything right now energetically than it ever was before. We can heal each other through QiGong and Reiki and Pranic healing and different techniques at a much higher rate, a much higher efficiency than ever before. Our density has changed. We are already in the beginning stages of the fourth density. And so as we activate our Marksabas, and some of us are, knowingly working on this. Others are just basically receiving the cosmic energy, which does come from Source, Prime Creator, God, whatever names you want to use for it. The changes are real, and the changes are strengthening. And we see the symbolism of the six-pointed star. And I shared with you guys the Lesser Banishing Ritual, the Pentagram, in which you envision this column of light coming through the body from the crown down into the earth below, sending it out the right shoulder, sending it out the left shoulder. So you are the cross. You are the intersection of the energies pouring down from the heavens and also connecting to the earth. So you are recognizing the macrocosm which lies within you as you are the microcosm. And you are activating this because, part of that is when you say it at the end, you say basically, for within the column, that column of light that you're drawing down, shines the six-rayed star. And the six-rayed star is the Marksaba. So you're knowingly activating your Marksaba through drawing down more of that cosmic energy and bringing it into the earth to help the earth with its ascension as well, as earth is a living being as well. So the symbolism behind the six-rayed star, and also we see planetary forces involved as well. Each of the planets is a living being as well. And there is also the thought that every single star you see up in the sky is an angel, a divine being. Metatrons, so this is more on Metatron, and it gets into basically most of the stuff that we've already talked about. I'm going to have the links for you guys so you could go into this in more depth. So Archangel Metatron, Angel of Light. And now this is also kind of interesting. It covers a lot of the same stuff, but then gets into a little bit more of the Gnostic point of view. So Metatron came to Earth himself and continued to incarnate until it was time for the Archangel Emmanuel to come. And Emmanuel, you guys recognize that God with us, and so you would look towards the Christ energies there. He was here as Enoch. He came to see the matrix from inside out, since he helped create it from the outside in. His teachings would restore the love needed for the wisdom, because it had been given of a more scientific and logical feel by others. He is strongly reigning angel with many domains. He is therefore a dominion. We've heard about all these different names, the dominions, the powers, the cherubim, the seraphim. We've talked about all these divine beings. And again, these are all just terms. And so there could be other terms used as well. And recognize that these are terms that are at least 2,000 years old or more. And so he is a dominion, a scribe, a teacher, and a teaching angel. Metatron is a huge energy who has taken a special interest in humankind and seeing how far they can go in obtaining knowledge and what they can do with it once they obtain it. A stern personality, channeling him, I felt like I was an older philosopher, but his kindness was unsurpassed. His name means beyond the matrix because as of late, he is the only soul to work beyond it. And Metatron keeps blueprints. He knows the ins and outs of the matrix and ones beyond. As anyone claiming to know such, he keeps a firm eye on, and this knowledge is only meant for a select few under his rulership. And here it gets in a little bit more Gnostic-y, to use the term there. Legion. As a dominion, he is also an archangel because he not only does he have his own domain, but he also leads his own army, a spirit of many trades and roles. He works for the armies of Yaldabaoth, which is the demiurge, the one that should be ruling Earth. Yaldabaoth goes by the name of Yahweh. So there's a lot of disagreement on things, and everybody has a little different take, and this is one person's channeling. Again, and so why I would say to you, if you're really interested, then channel yourself. Just get your own impressions and go within. So he was raised to deity status after his father was given Earth as a dominion, ruined it with his own agenda. Metatron went on to intercede between the realms for his outcasted rebel. He continues to be a messenger between them today. However, the creator and the deity both gave Metatron precedence over the earth as an emissary because he works as one anyhow. And so Metatron works for Yahweh, Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, under the ultimate creator, and he also works between the earthy archonic rulers to continue his work here. And so in comparison, he has been known as Thoth due to his teachings left through Raphael's incarnation, and it goes into others as well. So everybody has their own opinion. Everybody sees things in a different way. All we can do is put out all this information, and it's up to the individual to make of it what you will. Now, for me, I think a lot of this is really symbolic, and it's all about our activation of our Marksabas, our growth, our spiritual path, our ascension. I think that is of prime importance. And again, if we work on ourselves, if we work on making ourselves the best version of ourselves, then I feel that if enough of us did that, everything would fall into place. It's a matter of where is your heart? What is your vibratory rate? Has nothing to do with even the words that we use. So the words do have power. Most definitely words have power. But it's really what's more powerful is what is emanating from your heart. So my friends, on that note, I will leave you with this. I look forward to your comments. Let's always work together and discover and learn. And let us not be quick to criticize or quick to judge, lest ye be judged. But instead, let us agree to disagree on some things, and let us agree to learn and live and love, and let us agree that we will build a better reality on this dimension right here and right now. As always, my friends, I thank you for your support on Patreon as well, and just $1 a month can help keep the channel going, and join the family over there and as well in your support. And as always, God bless and namaste.